thought about having this cool intro. Nah, maybe later. But for now, you are listening to My Introvert Thoughts. Hey. Welcome back to another episode of My Introvert Thoughts with me, Skorpyen. Hey. Shh. That's the crowd going wild. I'm starting off all wrong. I'm starting off very silly already. Okay, let's get back serious. But welcome back to another episode. And as you can tell, I'm excited to be talking with you again. I'm glad you came back. Thank you for coming back. You didn't have to, but you did. And I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I know I'm joking around and being silly, but I seriously appreciate you coming back for another episode. Thank you. I hope you are doing well, feeling good, happy, and fit and experiencing some great 70 to 88 to 80 degree weather with a little sunshine, not too hot, not too breezy, but just the perfect mix. I really do. And the reason I say that is because I hope you're getting outside. I really do. I hope you're getting outside. As introverts, sometimes we have a tendency to stay inside. Some of us. Some of us get outside more than others. Some of us take our reset time and go outside and explore alone. But some of us stay inside. And let me be transparent here. I'm one of those people that stay inside a lot of the time. Do I enjoy outside? Yes, I do enjoy sitting outside, enjoying the breeze, reading, or just relaxing, meditating, or what have you. But I don't like to smell like outside. Like when I come from outside, I have to freshen up. I have to because you smell like outside. You smell like outside. You know, I've said that to some people before, and some people don't get it. It's usually people that don't look like me that don't get it when I say smell like outside. But there is a smell to outside. You don't notice it when you're outside unless there's some type of foul odor in the air, but there's a such thing as smelling like outside, and I don't like to smell like outside, but I like being outside when the weather is nice. How about you? So I said all that to say, I hope you're getting outside, recalibrating, getting some of that fresh air because it does the body good. It does the mental good. It does your overall being good. So if you have nice weather where you are today, this week, and the upcoming week, please take time to go outside for 30 minutes to an hour at minimum and enjoy that outside, breezy, nice weather, sunshine. Go outside and enjoy it and soak it up and appreciate nature. I really hope that for you. So let me get off of that righteousness. Sometimes I know this is one of the gifts we have as introverts to be able to self-audit. I know sometimes I can come off preachy or righteous, and that is never my intention. And why am I bringing this up? It's because it's something that I've been thinking about, and I want to acknowledge that comes from a helpful place, a place of learning and wanting to share what I have learned and the knowledge that I have acquired through study, research, self-evaluation, etc., that I want to share with you and to talk about with you. So if it ever you feel that way, like, hey, she's calling me out, maybe I am. calling you out in love. In love, seriously. I'm calling you out in love, not from a judgmental place, but from a hopeful place. You know, that's all it is. That's all it is. That's that's it. I have a question for you. Is it hard for you to set boundaries? Particularly boundaries about needing your space or a long time. We talked about it earlier briefly this season, but more specifically in the workspace. We didn't talk about there in the workspace. Is it hard for you to set boundaries with your coworkers about the boundaries that you need? Like, hey, I communicate better, or I like when you email me and then I can get back to you. Or maybe when you walk up, ask me, do I have time to help you with something? Or do I have time to chit chat with you? Because sometimes people just walk up to, if you're working a cubicle space, they'll walk up to your desk, or if you're in an office and you keep your door open, they'll just walk in and just start chatting you up, not saying, hey, excuse me, you got a moment? I realized that a lot of people don't have manners. Maybe that's what it boils down to, manners. But either way, whether they have manners or not, whether they know they're being rude or not, do you feel comfortable setting the boundary? And do you set the boundary? If so, how do you go about doing so? Are you more of the person to address it right then, to say, hey, I really want to help you, or I really like chatting with you, but I don't have the time right now. I can't. I got to focus on this. But in the future, if you don't mind, can you just ask me if I have a moment? And sometimes people are going to get upset no matter how you say it. Some people are going to get upset no matter how you say it, no matter how you frame it, no matter how calm you are, no matter how even tone you are, no matter what. No matter what the circumstance is, some people are going to get upset. And that happens a lot for introverts in the workspace. We're not expected to have boundaries. And it seems more to me that in this era, HR would have an understanding of that there are different personality types. And as long as the person, particularly an introvert person, is respectful, courteous, cordial, completes their work exceptionally and on time, that the expectation of them having boundaries should not be a problem. Boundaries are a part of life. And to demand that someone stop what they're doing to talk to you, some oftentimes about things that don't have anything to do with work, is asinine. Because why is everyone at work? To work, to be productive. So for HR to sometimes have problems with introverts setting up those boundaries make no sense to me whatsoever. Boundary setting is paramount for us. It's one of the paramount things. Because if we don't, we often get overwhelmed. And it can be difficult to set those boundaries, especially when you don't have the support. Especially when you don't have the support. To say, hey, I enjoy working here. I want to do the job, but I need this in order to do the job. And if you have problems with that, maybe talk to yourself in the mirror about it. But then again, I don't know your circumstance either. I don't know your work environment either. And so some places are so toxic that even setting a small boundary as to say, hey, do you mind asking if I have a moment before you start talking is unacceptable. Working in a toxic environment where where setting boundaries or having boundaries is seemingly unacceptable or not welcomed, that's not a good workplace. It's mentally taxing and horrible. I'm talking from experience. It is horrible. Oftentimes, when you are not a chatty patty, you are enemy number one. Everybody assumes that there is something wrong with you. But let's not add the layer of being a Black person who is also an introvert, a Black woman that is also an introvert. Child, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. Whole nother story. No matter how kind you are, no matter how untasked you are, no matter how great you are at your job, there are Black women out there that are introverts that are getting the devil from their employers because they're not walking around with a cheesy grin on their face. Because they're not walking to every office saying, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? They are not HR. They may simply be an admin assistant, a coordinator, a project manager, anything. But they're expected to go above and beyond to do unnecessary things. Ooh, child. But I still want to know, how do you go about setting boundaries? Is it easy for you to set those boundaries in the workplace, or is it difficult? And how do you go about setting boundaries? You don't just have to set boundaries about people coming into your space and chatting you up. You can set boundaries about other things in the workplace too that may make you feel uncomfortable. How do you go about setting those boundaries? I like to know. We're going to talk about it more as the season goes along. And right now, I would just like to know how you go about setting those boundaries. So if you don't mind, email me, myintrothoughts@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put setting boundaries. And I might share them on here. I might share them. That's the point, really. It ain't even a might about it. I'll probably share them. So we can help others that may have difficulty doing so. Because the way that I might do it, the way that I do it, may not be the best way for me to tell you to do it. So we're going to offer some different ways to go about doing that. How some of our introvert friends do so. So email the podcast. Let's move on. Hey there. Are you enjoying this episode? Well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you are notified of all future and bonus episodes. Okay, now back to this episode. This episode, I wanted to talk about healing. Healing as an introvert. although we may share the commonality of being introverts, we are not the same. We may have some of the same characteristics and personality traits, but we are all different. There's no one size fits all for us, even though we share the commonality, a big commonality of being introverts. And with that being said, healing journeys are personal. There's no one way to heal, even for us introverts. There's no one way to heal. There's no one way for extroverts to heal either. There's no one way. Our wounds are different. Different shades, sizes, depths, caused by different experiences inflicted by different people, different things. Sometimes self-inflicted wounds is different. So the way that we heal and that we approach things and what works for one are going to have some variations there. But one thing that I think that can help us with healing is being honest. Well, there's a couple of things, but one of them is being honest with ourselves when we are hurting, when we are in pain, or when we're triggered, and understanding why we're triggered. And with understanding why we're triggered and why we become emotional about some things, we need to tap into that emotional intelligence. Now, introverts do have an ability to tap into emotional intelligence a little easier than some others. Why? Because we have the ability to self-audit. Our minds are constantly thinking of thoughts. We also have the ability to quiet our minds. And that's sometimes what we do when we go into solitude and we're resetting and we're getting that alone time, right? So in those times, we often think, I don't know if extroverts do this too, but I would imagine when they are alone as well, they think of things sometimes that are not so pleasant, right? And realize that we still have some pain attached there, right? And I'm not saying that that self-healing is the way to go. I'm not advocating that at all. But what I am without the assistance of a therapist. But what I am saying, if you do not have access to a therapist, that to sit there in pain and not try to work through some of that trauma and healing that comes up and just to push it back out of your mind, sometimes that don't work. And if you have the ability to do so, to think of some things and to think through some things and heal some things yourself, then do so. However, if you have access to therapy, go to therapy. Because some things you're not going to be able to do yourself. You're going to need the help. You're just going to need the help. But with that being said, I want to just share a couple of things, 2 or 3 things that I think can help on the healing journey when you're doing the work yourself and with the assistance of a therapist. Seek professional advice, okay? Because I'm not a therapist. So this is not professional advice. I'm just telling you. You know what? How about I phrase it like this? These are some things that I do to assist on my healing journey. Okay. A few things that I have done to help heal and to continue to be on a healing journey from some things. They're kind of obvious things, things that we've talked about already that I think deserves to be mentioned, some of which we've already mentioned in this episode. So I'm going to mention 3 things. Okay. A few things that I have done to help heal and to continue to be on a healing journey from some things. They're kind of obvious things, things that we've talked about already that I think deserves to be mentioned, some of which we've already mentioned in this episode. So I'm going to mention 3 things. Those 3 things are reset, recalibrate, which is very obvious, set boundaries, and to self-audit. Those are 3 things. And one more, a bonus, to be honest with myself about how I'm feeling about those things that come up. And maybe one more. Practicing emotional intelligence. And that is not easy, especially when triggered by things. So those are things that I do. You're more than welcome to try because, again, I am not a therapist. And if you decide to try them, I hope they work out for you. Let me know. But this episode is getting up there. I just realized that this episode is getting up there, and we try to keep these episodes 30 minutes or less. So I want to get into today's personal story. And if you have a personal story that you would like to share with me, or you would like me to read on the podcast, you can always email me at myintrothoughts@gmail.com. myintrothoughts@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put personal story. Okay. So I used to work in a small office of about 27 people. All men except 5 women, including myself. It was a very toxic work environment. But not only that, I was the newest hire at this office, replacing a woman that had been there 19 years and 9 months. Now, at the 20-year mark, the way this company was set up, you were given extra benefits in your package. This woman that I was replacing could not stand to be there those remaining 3 months. She didn't care what they were offering. She was like, no, I'm leaving. That should have given me a clue. When I first got there, the first week or so, every day at the end of the day, someone or a couple of people would ask, are you coming back? Are you coming back tomorrow? You coming back, right? I should have known then. I should have known then. But in the position that I was in, I was like, I just moved somewhere new out of state. I was like, I need a job. So this job seems easy enough. And it was made to seem difficult, but it wasn't. When you know what you're doing, you can pick up on things pretty easily. I was like, why is everyone making this seem so hard? It's not. I could do this. Okay. And the pay was really good. So she leaves and I stay. And oh my gosh, I should have left when she left. Anywho, I say that to say, I'm getting to this story. I'm an introvert. I don't talk a lot. I get my work done. I stay in my office or at my desk, whatever the case is, depending on the workplace, right? And I get my work done. I come in, I leave, I'm cordial. I say good morning to those that I run into. But as far as eating lunch together, that's not going to happen. I'll eat lunch with my boss. I've done that at almost every place that I work, gone out to lunch with my boss when you first start. I think that's just standard practice, no matter the industry for the most part. So, but other than that, no, I'm not eating lunch with coworkers. That's not what I'm doing. Now, for the most part, I didn't have a relationship with most of my coworkers other than hi and bye, or if they needed help with something, I would help them with something, or if I had a question for them about something. Other than that, that was pretty much the relationship. So this one particular day, a group of engineers and some of the other people that were in the quoting department and things of that nature were going out to lunch. And they come to me and ask me, do I want to go? And I say, no, thank you. If you could have seen the look on this guy's face that came to ask me, he was like, we'll be back within 2 hours or so. I was like, no, thank you. I have lunch already, but thank you. Although I didn't have lunch already. That was a lie. I just didn't want to go. I did not want to go. They weren't my type of people. And even if they were nice kind of people, I still wouldn't have wanted to go. That is a boundary that I have. I don't spend my lunch break with coworkers. I like my lunch break for myself. I want to decompress. I don't want to go to lunch with coworkers. And to say the least, they were offended. And I can tell when they all came back, they gave me kind of a look, although no one ever said anything. But I did feel the awkwardness of it all. Did I feel some type of way about setting that boundary? Nope. It was necessary for me to set those boundaries. I've learned that if you break your boundaries for people, then the expectation there is that you're flexible and that it's not really a boundary, that it's a request. That is not a boundary. So I don't break my boundaries, especially in the workplace. I don't. And that is something that I've had to learn the hard way, but it's something that I stick to. Just certain things I'm a stickler about, and boundaries is one of those things. We have come to the end of the episode, and I have enjoyed you. I hope you have enjoyed me, and I hope that you will come back for the next episode. And if you would like to keep up with the podcast, you can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at My Introvert Thoughts. And you can always email the podcast, myintrothoughts@gmail.com. But until next time, be blessed, be kind, and choose happy.